I think first maybe like I want to ask like, yeah, what are you all like feeling right now, or emotions wise, like rewatching our pieces again? Because Jessie, you mentioned you haven't watched it since like, yeah, maybe like our showcase, and Phoebe, you watch it a lot, but like maybe watching it together, the three of us, you know.
Yeah, I think there's something that was really special to watch it all together again, each of our three pieces. I think they all kind of gave me chills still. Like every time I see them, I notice something different. That makes me feel like more connected to the creator or the artist. Yeah, just really beautiful.
Yeah, I think it's the same for me. It's like the excitement watching your piece, Jessie, is still there. And then now like I noticed more of like the word in the beginning, and then like the title, like, oh, áo dài cho hoàng tử hiện tại, or like hiện đại. I was like, oh dang, like, like, yeah, you're friends. Like, and then seeing, like like in that wearing the áo dài on the motorcycle and all of this. It was like, yeah, like, because I feel like watching it at the showcase, there were other things on my mind, but now like just sitting and watching it again, there's different pieces, that like sink in a lot more, and like just seeing the creative process that you have again. And then Phoebe with all the transitions and like the song choice and the word of the songs, I think this time it like click more for me, and I feel like the expressions in your movement, and also like in the ribbons, like on your face too, and like the outfit that you chose. Yeah, so it's like really nice. And then I'm always like, oh my god, like I feel like my piece sometimes can be like kind of intense, like, oh, should I add like trigger warning? you know
Oh, well, yeah, I think watching Phoebe, your piece again, this time around, I feel like I was focused on your footwork. I was just like, oh my God, on top of all of the ribbons, your footwork is amazing. And then every cut that you did, I liked seeing like all of the different versions of you. And I think that there's just something so like, I love that you did it in the parking lot. Was it like the parking lot of your apartment or the parking lot of your school?
Yeah, it's the parking lot of my university. It was like pretty
Yeah.
accessible. It's actually at the very bottom, I think. So,
I think I just like it activates like memories for me when I was in college, and like those parking lots on off hours or something were always kind of like the space to play. And I love that was like, I felt that was just like so you at that time when we were like in the pandemic and you were living by the school and you're like, this is the only place that I'm going to be able to record my ribbon dance.
yeah. Yeah, I think when I'm rewatching all our videos, I'm like brought back to the time of like when I'm like recording it, or even like brought back to the time when we were watching it in Tracy's like garage, like the excitement that we first experienced, and then yeah, like it's kind of like as Jang like just described, like when you listen to a song for the first time, you're kind of listening to like the sound and everything, and how like impressed you are by the song, but then when you listen to it another time, you like focus on the lyrics and the different meanings behind it, and so that's kind of how I feel when I like rewatch art pieces. Like I'm like re-awed, but in a new way. There's like new things um that like arise. Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
the bow in the middle, and then like the QTViệt logo come out. I was like, oh yeah.
Commitment to the collective.
To the ancestors, yes.
Yeah, this time around in Jang, your piece, I think I paid attention more to the conversation. I think that visually, I loved the space that you chose for the movement piece. and like in between it was like kind of like sandwiched by like the sitting in nature and then all of your comfort foods. I think I feel like that just like really captures like so much of you in general, like your comfort zones, you know, and in between are like the challenges, like where you wish to grow. And yeah, that was a big conversation to take in 6 minutes. But I think all I like feel is like the bravery in all of it.
Yeah, it was like a 2 hours conversation that like narrowed down to that like piece. Or like just kind of like editing like the sounds. But I think yeah, like we know each other like for different period of time, right? But during like the pandemic is like that the idea of like committing to each other, and like committing to our crafts, our art, our healing, and like being able to meet with each other monthly. I think was like what I needed, like at the time. And like just seeing how everyone pieces kind of like near the showcase, I feel like mostly everyone kind of like when it's about like, okay, it's like it's in a couple of weeks, like turn in your stuff. It's like when we're able to see like everyone, and now we're just like in awe like with all of it, and I think like what like we were working on, like our healing process at the time. And I think like for me, along with our group, like I also have so many support from like other like friends and just people hold space, and remembering there's just a lot of release, a lot of crying, like like crying in the shower, just like crying, like talking to like my siblings, my younger ones, saying that like if anything, like I'm here for you too. So I think just being able to reflect back and like I would love to have like a trusted adult that I could have like share and like being able to listen to. So just being able to voice that to my like younger siblings, to have them know that it's like I'm like prepping them before like I talk to my mom. kind of thing. So yeah, it's definitely a cycle.
So
You want to go first,
yes,
Jessie?
Vivi, what was your Vivi, what was the inspiration behind your piece?
Yeah. When it comes to like my piece, like I think the part when it was split into two, when it was like Phoebe and Philip, I think that really like was a core part of it. I remember at the time, like I think I was like definitely struggling with like um trying to come out to my family at that time, I think. And so like I think having those two parts together kind of like symbolize like what I was going through at the time, like navigating like different like um versions of me, like how I would present myself or interact with different people depending on the context. And so
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if this is something that you shared during one of our circles or like a retreat or just in conversation, but I'll never forget when you shared that like Phoebe is a more gentle, softer version of Philip. And there was nothing, when you shared that, there was like nothing that felt like more true to like you, how it captures so much, how it captures you in such like an accurate way.
yeah. Yeah, thanks for like reminding me of that memory, Jesse. It was like way long ago. So I'm like trying to remember all the bits and pieces of like the process. Yeah, I think it kind of felt like little like disjointed, like all the different four parts, and putting it together was an interesting connection. I think something to really notice about the piece is like I got a haircut when I was like in the middle of filming. Like my hair changed. Like I think if I remember like I was filming like the parts of long hair one day, and then I was like I got a haircut in the same day, and I filmed the rest of it with short hair. So I came back to the parking lot, and so um I think for me in the video, even though like I was separating like Philip and Phoebe, like I also wanted to make the point that they're also connected too, especially in the moments when like the ribbons were together. Um, and just having time for both of them to like highlight each other or like to highlight individually.
Hmm. I love that. Okay, Chang, what was the inspiration behind your piece?
I love this, Jessie. Yes, facilitate. Make it easy for us. Yes. Yeah, the inspiration behind my piece. I mean, I think that story or that journey had ever since I kind of started my healing journey, like connecting to spirituality as well, like that pain was like the first thing that needed to release and come out. And I feel like at the time, like like the one last thing I really needed to really let go of this, like of the pain that I was like holding on, is moved from like, yeah, just like releasing and then like forgiving like myself, forgiving like my family members, and then to like this source of like not knowing, like, well, I told someone that I trust, like I told like an adult figure, like in like in my life, that like what happened, but then like it was just silence, right? So then I would just like silence myself for so long. So it's just like, well, for me to really like heal, then it's like what did really happen, like in those silence like moments, and in what I experienced, like what actually like happened outside of that, one, I wanted to know that like my parents like take any like actions, right? But I think like what I realized is that like it's definitely, when we talk about intergenerational trauma and the cycle of violence and like the cycles of just like like, yeah, violations happen within family dynamic that we don't really talk about, is like there's like generations of like silencing each other, right? Like and the best thing, I guess, like it's just like having compassion to know that my mom, in a sense, like did her best like at the time, and she like honestly didn't know what to do, like either. And like maybe while talking to like other people, like the response that she also got was to stay silent. So I think like for me to like know that, I think there is like a broader perspective that I have. And I think in some sense it's like, yeah, this is really like, I want to heal like for myself, like first and foremost, like just really releasing myself of the pain that I was like really holding on and like didn't really like, yeah, because there's like hatreds that I held, or like there's a lot of like I think just like wanting to like wish this person like the worst, right? But like it's also like there is it did, but it's also didn't feel good, to like hold that in my body. So I think to like be at a point where like I just want myself to like be free, that was, I think, like the inspiration, I think, at the core of it. And that was like, I think that's like, yeah, that's like the last piece, I think, in this bigger picture that I needed to know, that I needed to understand. And yeah, with like that conversation, it gave me like a source of understanding that is much more bigger than like my family, is like this, my story is my story, and it's also bigger than my story. So, but yeah, like it's run deep. So but being able to just like have that understanding and have a complete sense of release, I feel like that's really helped and support me to kind of be more free in who I am like now. And I'm able to maybe like connect and be with my parents, I think, in ways that it's like feel a little bit more gentle, like a little bit more understanding. Yeah, I think the next step that like I really want to do is actually show them this piece. I haven't had the courage to show them this piece yet, so but I do want them to see and know and kind of just like listen. I'm still nervous in terms of their reaction, but like, you never know. I mean, I never know, so, but yeah, just a part of just like having them listen.
Have any of your siblings seen the piece?
No, I don't think they were able to make it to the showcase, so I don't think they've seen this either. So actually, that's a good point. I should show it to them first too. Yeah. My siblings know like what happened because like I told them about it, but I think in terms of this piece, I don't think they've seen it yet. Yeah.
You already answered all the questions. You did all the past, present, future.
Yes. Jessie, what's your inspiration?
My inspiration. I think going into the circle, like agreeing to be a part of the circle, I didn't know that we were going to be invited to like do like an art piece. Like I think that I was just like, I'm in it for the community, I'm in it for like the healing process. But I think that it was like when we had our retreat and we were asked to like just brainstorm any possibility, like what in our wildest dreams like could we have imagined. And like we were already pretty deep in like this like lockdown pandemic, and I was watching a lot of Project Runway, like just like a lot of that, and I was just like feeling so like in the zone, like about like the ways that they make these like pieces based on like an inspiration. And I was like, I've always wanted to do that. I can do that. Like I've always wanted to do like something that looked like a collection, that would be an expression of like my own style. And I think it's something that has always like been hovering in my head of like something that I'm curious about, something that I'll do later on. And I felt like this was the invitation that I needed to be like, well, why not? And I think initially I was like, when I think about the ways in which I've been creative in the past decade, like it's always been connected to food. And I love that that has always been a comfortable creative landing for me. And I think that I expected myself to do something with food. But I think in that time also, I was just so burnt out. And I was so exhausted thinking about all the ways in which, like, at that time, my relationship to food was just so, I felt like it was crumbling inside my heart, and I think that something about watching those like reality TV shows, like Project Runway, I think it just gave me like so much joy. I was like, it gave me this like ability to like tap into like the possibility of like, what if, and like getting to see that for other people. I'm like, I want to do that. And I think that part of it was when I shared the idea, I felt really, I was like picking up on people's excitement, and I was like, I really do. I think I can do this. So a lot of times my relationship like wearing an aoyai can be like, it just feels so like, it makes me feel really uncomfortable. But in joining like the QTViệt cafe, like I love when I get to see you all like wearing those traditional garments in your own way, whether that's like with shaved heads, whether that's with like tattoos all over, whether that's like with piercings or like things like that. And I remember in 2018 or something, 2019, like I wanted to wear an aoyai, but like I didn't know how to make it my way. The only way that I knew was like, oh, I wore it with leather pants. And that felt a little bit like my way. And then the second year, for Lunar New Year, like our QTViệt celebration, like I wore it with like Doc Martens and like white Dickies pants. And I was like, ooh, this felt like me, you know? But I think that the invite to do the project was like, I want to do it like really my way, you know? And I want to do it in a way where like, it totally is like, I don't know, I feel like while it was like, part of it was this like, I wanted to imagine what it could look like for a QTViệt to wear an aoyai that just feels so them. But like, I think underneath it was like, I just want to imagine like QTViệt hotness, you know, like I want like QTViệt beauty is like QTViệt like fire, like hot, like, and I was like, I want to know what that feels like, you know, what would that feel like to be witnessed in that way where like I'm clearly honoring my culture. I'm honoring my family, but like I get to do it the way that they know me. And that's kind of like where that came from. The dark aoyai, the glow in the dark aoyai. I know we went through so many ideas.
Yeah, I remember, yeah, it was the three of us too, right? That talked about we have like one of just like the creative sessions together, right? And we talk about like, yeah, like queer, like QTViệt futurism and, you know, the prism and all that was like really, yeah, amazing, inspirational as well. Yeah, glow in the dark aoyai. Still gotta make it happen.
Year of what's next year? Oh, it's for next year is my year.
Yeah, is there
Year of the cat.
Yeah, year of the cat, year of the cat. Yeah, Phoebe and I are gonna have a good year too because we're in the trifecta.
Yeah.
Oh, traffic, I think.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, Phoebe, it's your year too. You're
Yes,
the
I'm
cat.
also.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, that's
That's
right.
cool.
Yeah.
For us to like
Okay.
keep it back. Ooh, all right. So now go to I'm imagining May 2021, Tracy's garage. How do we feel now about our piece and healing now that it's been a bit over a year since? What reflections, reactions have you received from family, friends, and community? And how has your life evolved and grown since? Yeah, I mean, I guess I can go ahead and start like, wow. I mean, I think that May 2021 was like it was such a like beautiful like accomplishment that we got there, you know, and that we all, even in the midst of like 2021, we wanted to come together and like do that showcase. Honestly, I feel like there was the day before, or it was like 2 days before when we had our virtual dress rehearsal. And that was the time that like no one knew what anyone's pieces were. Like we hadn't but we had like Irene walking us through like, all right, now like, all right, you know, this piece going next. And like we were understanding the flow. And we had no one has ever done like a dress rehearsal before. So we were like, what are we doing? But it was a chance for us to see all of our pieces for the first time after we had been talking about it for like 10, 11 months. And I was doing so much like photography, filming, like putting together the video, thinking and reflecting about like, what does it mean, aoyai for the modern prince, you know, and like, how do I want to embody it? And like making sure that by that dress rehearsal, like I wanted to show you all that like it happened, you know, that it wasn't just going to be like a drawing or anything. Like I wanted to show you like I am wearing these pieces and you're going to see me walking in these pieces. And that was my most favorite memorable nights of that year, because we were so hyped up on everyone's pieces. And I think that I felt so like I felt so excited that I like made that, like it worked out that way, you know, that like I was able to like come up with that 3-minute like rough cut. And I don't know, I think that there was something that feels so affirming, you know. I was just like, I knew whatever, I was like, I knew in that whole experience of this 10-month experience, like whatever I was going to show, like it was going to be so like ecstatically like welcomed by you all. And I think I definitely felt like it, I was like, it was like euphoric almost. I was so happy. That piece brings me so much joy. And I look back at it and I'm like, I love that whole experience so much, because it wouldn't have happened without QTViệt, and it wouldn't have happened if I didn't ask for help in so many different ways to make that possible. And like I imagine carving space for so many people who have like wondered or thought about making their own aoyai that like fits the way that they imagine it. Like I imagine like more of that, you know, more of that, and it like blossoming. Yeah, I love the reactions in a time when we were not really seeing so many people. The QTViệt Circle, you all were the only the only crew that I was seeing on a regular basis, you know, and I just feel so lucky that I landed in this space, because I needed it so much. All right, who wants to go next?
Jessie. I love how you're like you're just like,
I gotta
yes.
keep this going.
It's like who's the worm in the heart, and then okay, next. Phoebe, do you want to share? You want to
sure.
go?
Yeah, I can go next. Yeah, when I'm thinking back to that time, I'm like, wow, May 2021 was like a year ago, and like 2 months is like wild. And I think I remember at that time, it was kind of like pretty emotional for me to be there, because it was like I was graduating from college at that time, and I was like wondering like um after I leave like um Tracy's garage, will this be like the last time I ever see y'all again? Because I was moving back to San Diego. And well, surprise, I'm happy here right now still. And so that's awesome. But I think for me at the time, I was like, it's like, oh my gosh, this might have been my last QTV cafe like art, you know? And I
Hmm.
think what's really interesting now is that as I'm rewatching this piece, it actually like informs my current piece in this new circle. Like um, it made me like realize that I had done some writings back in 2018 that didn't really make sense. But now, after watching my piece again, it actually does make sense now. Like there's something new about the writings I did back then that makes sense now, that you'll see like when I actually do my piece for the next circle. Yeah.
Wow. Oh, now I want to know what that new piece is.
I know.
Give me a
I
little
feel like
like
I'm
teaser.
alluding to it. So it's new.
Yeah. It's still like TBD. Like I'm still planning out like all the concrete. I can give you like the concept idea. Yeah, like I think when it came to the whole like Philip and Phoebe thing, it was like back then I felt very like separated. It was like, oh, like I had like my inner child, like I had my inner like teenager, and I had Philip, Phoebe. I also had my inner elder who would like give me advice from the future. Something that I like that was really cool. And so that's something that I'll be bringing back in my next circle piece. It's the format is interesting. It's gonna be like a Zoom conversation with myself with myself. I'll probably dress up as like different versions of myself. It'll be pretty funny. But yeah, there'll probably be like a more like serious healing, like written aspect of it, and there'll be like the whole funny Zoom call version. Yeah.
I love it.
Wow.
Amazing.
Oh my God, it's gonna be amazing.
Wow. That's great. Yeah, and Jessie, like your piece inspires so many other QTVidt too, like where, like they're out in ways that feels good for them. It's like blooming so much. So yeah. Are you gonna wear it at the 6-year anniversary? August 20th?
I have to.
You have to.
I have to. All three, throughout the night. I'm gonna have like I'm gonna have changes throughout the night. You'll see me in all three pieces.
Yes, flowers. Oh my god, you
Casual.
Yeah, you inspire me
You're gonna be
to like
wearing it on August 20th at Understory.
Yes, August 20th and the story 46.
Get link in bio.
What did you say?
The link to the link to the event in bio.
Yes, in our bio.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, also like something that I feel like that was like so healing in itself was just that process I did with my mom, like over the course from like January to May, like every month we had a standing date to go to San Jose together. And it was just so nice. There's something that always like comes up that allows us to connect when we're driving in traffic together. But when my mom would come with me just to like so that we can have lunch together, but like also so we could stop by Christina's shop in Lion Plaza, and my mom would see the drafts that I drew, and my mom would hear how I would explain to Christina how I wanted it to fit, what I wanted it to look like, and why. And I think sometimes it's like I needed to share some of those things around like why it was important that it fit a certain way, or it didn't show this certain form. Like I need to say it to someone else that wasn't my mom, or wasn't my family, but I kind of wanted my mom to hear it too. So that what kind of happened from there is like I got to talk to Christina about why being like genderqueer matters to me, and why I wanted my aoyai to fit this way, why I wanted it to be so loose, or why did I want it to be longer. And then it led to like deeper conversations with my mom about my journey with, things like my pronouns. And that, I think sometimes I just needed an invite to talk about that with somebody else so that I could talk about that with my family.
Yes, that's the way.
That's the way you do it. That's the only way.
That was like kind of the same idea as like when we cook in the kitchen with the elders, and then like if my friend is like cooking at my family's like kitchen, I'll like be around, but they would like talk to my parents about different things. It's like a little bit it feels a little bit easier like in terms of that that kind of like way of conversations and like access to it.
Yeah, exactly. So where and how is your healing now? What art are you inspired by and creating these days, and or are thinking about for the future? Whew.
Yeah, we heard Phibi a little bit. I'm excited for that Zoom like 3+ generation conversation, Phibi.
It might be 5. It's gonna be really funny though, because it's like, 'cause you know how back in the day, like people use Skype and now people use Discord and sometimes people use like FaceTime. Well, it's gonna be like, oh, we're all calling each other on like different platforms, but we're all like in the same video. So it's kind of funny in that way.
Very nice. I'm looking forward to it. But right now what I've been thinking about is really playfulness. Jessie, like your piece to inspire me to like wear like aoyai in ways that like also feels good. I have some fabric, but I haven't like really know like how I want to design my ao dai yet. But I did purchase an ao dai that is like all black, and I feel like to me like that ao dai is like very like genderqueer in a way, and like yeah, I want to try in different ways to be playful, like in the sense like wearing that and also doing drag, like in ways of like honoring, but also just like, like, yeah, like having fun. Like I think one of the project I really talked about was, honoring Ji Fung, and like the documentary that I watched, chuyến đi cuối cùng của chị Phụng, Madam Phung's Last Journey. And just like her being able to curate like a safe space or like a troupe for queer and trans people, like in her time. And so I want to think about that, of like how I can allow myself to be more playful, to take up different expressions, to like yeah, like be in tune maybe with my body and the music, and like the different garments or ways that can, yeah, I think just like more embodiments of different form. So that's kind of the idea of where I'm like heading. So yeah, August 20th will be the debut.
August 20th. August 20th, we get to meet Ginger, right? Just kidding.
Yes. Gung.
Gung.
Gung debut. Yeah.
Let me see. Yeah, what about you, Phoebe? Where and how is your healing now?
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is really interesting. Like interesting to like this specific day, because I think today I actually felt inspired to like start writing a bit, like drafting some ideas. So I was thinking like, why is it that I keep listening to like these same songs from 2018 in this one playlist? And I was like, it's starting to click. I was like, I'm still stuck in 2018 in some ways. Like, it's different than being stuck in the pandemic in 2020. Like, I think we all witnessed what it felt like to be in 2020 and still mentally be there. But for me, I'm mentally in 2018, um, in a time where like my mental health was more rough. Um, but at the same time, there was like healing at that critical moment that I'm trying to like find again, um, through the writings that I did in 2018. Uh, and so I'm also connecting it to like the different like tools of healing that I learned today too. Like I like recently discovered like, when it comes to like fire flight, my response is to freeze. But then I realized that me freezing is actually a really important like thing, for me. It's like sometimes I'm like I want to like isolate from folks who like care about me, but then I freeze and actually don't isolate from folks and I actually stay in community. And so it's interesting to see like that freeze response is something that actually is protecting me. Yeah.
Yeah, like I think 2020 was so, it was kind of like the pause that I was asking for. And I knew, like I've always known that like my food business with my mom like was never going to be sustainable, but I didn't know how to stop. Like I just didn't. And I think that like something in my body like felt a relief when we were told that we were in lockdown, because I was like, I don't want to go back to that, and then more and more we were given, sometimes we were given these opportunities to like shift or like adapt, and like, and even then I was watching all of these businesses, these like food folks in our community like shift and adapt and like just, I don't know, I think it was like, it felt like this race of like testing our resilience. And then I think I was just like, I'm not trying. I don't need to. I don't need to try to be resilient like in this way anymore because it doesn't serve me. And like my body could not go back to trying to reopen in that way. And so the invite to tap into something so like wildly different was like it was exactly what I needed, I think. And I think that even while it's been like a year plus since I've done that project, I remember that joy that it gave me. Like there was nothing about like every step of that process that didn't feel clear to me. And there was nothing about all of the drawings that I did and all of the stories that came up when I created these narratives of each outfit, like the first one was like, I called it like Moto Mesh Boy, and it was like the one with the leather jacket and the plaid, to honor like that first time that you come out and like you wear flannel and you're like, yeah, like I'm gay, and then the other one was like Fermented Farmer, the process of like dyeing that fabric, the denim, with like unripened persimmons, and it turned this beautiful color, like earthy. Like I was thinking about all of our QTViệt community who are like so connected to the land and imagining them in the fields like harvesting. And then the other one, like Transcendent Prism, that's like I was like, that's how I want to tap into myself all the time, is like moving beyond and like letting all of my colors just like reflect back at like however I feel. And yeah, I think I'm still inspired by that piece because like it was a time when like I slowed down like in a way that I've never before, and I gave myself permission just to do the thing that like gave me the most sense of joy. And I always want to tap into that feeling. I think now I love the process of imagining what a new look could be like, and I think like maybe it is always like, maybe it's a bit much to like think about a collection, but I think about my journey, like it kind of kicks me off into this, like, I imagine like a 12-piece collection when I make one collection every year that represents the year of the rabbit, the year of the, the year of the goat, like each one will slowly build so that in 12 years, I'll have a full collection that represents the full cycle. And I'm excited about that. And each piece, I want it to like represent where I'm at in that time.
Wow, yes, Jessie. Hi, what?
Yeah. So if we're gonna have a showcase 12 years from now, okay, I'll be ready.
Just like it was like complete the zodiac.
Yeah, I was like, I'm done, everybody.
Wow, thinking about 12 years later, yes. I mean, we're 6 years in, so 6
yeah. I know I would love for all of everyone in our collective to like show up in it. Oh yeah, that like, and I think it would just be I think I also think about like when I did it in 2020, it had to be just me because I was the only person that I could like really interact with. But really like what I felt like would have been like my vision is like a full runway where like we're all wearing one, because there's nothing more like powerful than seeing so many of us like in our like garments that like totally reflect our like wildest imaginations.
Yes. I mean, now we have you and then we have Hai, right? And then I is making theirs. Like I brought some fabric. It's happening. It's gonna happen.
Yeah, and I heard Jean might be making a Pikachu one.
Oh my god, yes. It's gonna happen.
It's
gonna happen. Yeah. Wow.
Well, I mean, Trang and Phibi, was there anything that you were thinking about that you didn't get to share?
Go ahead, Phibi. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there was one thing that's very brief. It was like Oh, I'm trying to like recall something, but also make it kind of deep too. This could be kind of interesting, but yeah, I remember like what it was like for me to like film like uh my piece, and it took like several hours of practice to create the choreo and then to actually perform it, like take multiple takes. And it made me think of like even though this was like a not like a written piece, it was very much like movement. It made me realize that like each like different movement of the ribbon, like I was healing in a different way. Through each like repetition, like going through like kind of like retracing my steps with each movement, and figuring out new ways to like move. I think that was healing. To even like to create the choreography.
Yeah. I think in my piece, like what really support me and like kind of there was like the drum beat and like the sound that was playing, and that was like, and it was just like different like places and time that was like coming together, but the sounds and like the instrument was supported by Dohee and Jaehyun. And I think it's make me think too about like our Viet traditions too, and like the I want to learn how to play a Vietnamese drum, especially like in like rituals and like ways of like honoring the season, like the ancestors and all of that too. I think that piece for me, like it's I was able to maybe like have access to it through like friends of from like different like traditions, but I think like in terms of the Viet traditions, I would love to learn that, and I think that might be like a missing piece for me, where I'm hoping that our time maybe next year in Vietnam, that I would be able to learn more about. Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah. Anything from you, Jessie?
Mm, mm, yeah, I don't know. I'm just feeling so grateful to get the opportunity to honor these pieces again. Like it was it was such a unique and special time, um, that allowed us to really like test our creativity. And I think that after a whole that after that experience, like it's such a gift to get to know each of you all like so much in a much like the closeness, I guess, is just something that like I think makes my heart feel really good. And I think it just like laid a foundation for us to continue exploring our art and creativity in a way that feels so affirming and safe, and we get to experiment, and it doesn't have to look perfect all the time, but I love that there's room for us to explore.
Yes. Love all of that.
Ah,
Yeah, you have to just the conversations just flow. But I love it to like hear more, from like you both, and like have a chance to reflect. And I'm excited for the summer series to drop, and like, listen to others as well. So yeah.
mhm.